The language, which can be used for web development, single page applications development, service no scripting language for mobile application development, game development, and to build the apps in smartwatches. And we can use in a machine learning. Even though Python is a priority one, this language can also be used there, and for programming the flying robots, and it has many more applications. Hi learners, welcome to the JavaScript world. I'll be explaining JavaScript with respect to web development part. So before that, let's understand some of the basics of JavaScript, like syntax, like how the JavaScript executed and all. I'm using Play Code Editor to explain the JavaScript concepts. Okay. Okay, HTML, which is a markup language, and CSS is for styling purpose, and JS. Here comes the JS, which is used for making the applications, making the web applications dynamic. So I'll be explaining that JS. So first of all, what is JavaScript? It has many definitions. First one is JavaScript is a object-oriented language. Actually, it has 7 primitive data types. Okay. Apart from that, everything in a JavaScript is considered as a objects. Then it can also called as a functional language. Then it has a first class functions. So the language which have a first class functions. Actually, the first class functions means the functions which can return a function, or we can pass the functions as a arguments. I'll give one quick example. Actually, in JavaScript, we'll use the function keyword to define the functions, and this is the body. And if I return any function, let's say a, so this is a first class functions. Or I'll call this function f by passing a arguments c, which is a function. So these JavaScript has this type of concepts in that. Then JavaScript is a single threaded language. Okay, you don't have any multiple threads to run the number of lines of code at a single time. Actually, what is single threaded means, let's say we have a variable a which is 10, then variable b which is 20. So JavaScript comes to fifth line. These are some comments, so it neglects that. Then JavaScript compiler comes here and it will execute the line number 5, and after successfully execution of line number 5, it will get into line number 6. So that is a single threaded concept. Then it is a just in time, or it is a dynamic one. Actually, JavaScript is considered as a dynamic language or just-in-time language. I mean, all compilation will be done at runtime. Okay. See, I assign var a equal to 10. Okay. And I'll print in a console. See, semicolon. Okay. Console. In console, the value of a will be printed. If I change the value of a as, let's say Tony, then it will be printed. So there is no error like before var a, I mean a is a type of integer, now it's a string, right? So it don't throw any error at the compile time. At the runtime, all the compilation will be done. So that is called as just-in-time or dynamic one. So JavaScript is a just-in-time or dynamic language, and it is a scripting language. We can use it for web pages, right? For scripting. So these are some of the most common use definitions of JavaScript. Then next concept will be ECMA standard. Actually, JavaScript follows these ECMA standard. What is that means? Let's say we have a two browsers, okay? One browser using one syntax and another browser using a different syntax, then there won't be a interoperability between those two browsers, right? So to overcome that, there is a common standard which every browser or every developer has to follow. That is called as ECMA standard. Simply, if I want to tell, let's say var a equal to 10. Here, to define or to declare the variable, we are using the var keyword, right? Let's say tomorrow ECMA will come and tell instead of var use Tony to declare or define the variable. So every browser or every developer should use Tony to declare the variable. That's about ECMA standard. Then yeah, next concept will be global execution context. So it will tell how JavaScript code will execute. I'll just write one JavaScript code and explain like how compiler. See, we have a different JavaScript engines. In Chrome, we have a V8 JavaScript engine, and in Firefox, we have a Spider Monkey. Like that, every browser has their JavaScript engines. Then outside the browser, we have a Node.js, which is JavaScript environment. How JavaScript will be executed by these things? We'll learn that. I'll quickly write one code. I'll take one function which has a parameter name. If that name equal to uh, Tony, let's say if the name equal to Tony, then he will tell like I'm Iron Man. So we write that type of code. Here I uses the triple quotes. I'm sorry, triple equals. So if we use the double equals, then it will check like the value, whether it's LHS value equal to RHS. But if we use the triple equals, then it will check for the value as well as the type, whether the type of LHS equals to type of RHS. So then if name equal to Steve, we can use LCF, but as of now, we'll use if only. We'll assign like I am Captain America and we'll return the n value. This is a function. We call this function and we'll output the value. See, the output is I'm Iron Man. Since the value, I mean name is Tony, it's printing like I am Iron Man. So if the JavaScript compiler will see this code, how it will run, how it will compile. Let's see that. I'll use this. Initially, if the compiler sees the JavaScript code, if it starts compiling, there is a window object will get created. Initially, window object will get created. After that, there is a global execution context. Okay, that will get created, and there is a local execution context. I'll explain that in detail. First, window object will get created, then global execution context and local execution context. Let's see what is a GEC and local EC. Actually, execution context, we can call it as a container. It will contain all the variables that we used in our code and all the functions. Actually, it has a two phases. Two phases. The first phase will be memory phase. Okay. Then second phase will be execution phase. In memory, all the variables will get stored, and in execution, every lines will be executed. That's it. We'll compare with our code. First, it will come here, first line, it's a comment, it will neglect. Then second line also, it's a comment, it will neglect that. It means the compiler or JavaScript engine. Then it will come here, the function. We are not calling the function, it's a function definition, right? So it doesn't do anything. It just store this function as it is in a memory. Okay. Actually, it's a Avenger, right? Avenger, colon. Whole code will be stored here. Actually, it is a reference for the function. It's a reference for whole code. It's not actually a code. It's a reference for that code. Then, okay, then it will come here, right? 13th line, there is no code. Then 14th line, there is a variable we are declaring and we are defining by calling the function. Initially, in a memory phase, A will be stored in a memory and undefined value will be assigned. Initially, the value will be undefined for any variables. Let's say for any variables, the value will be undefined. Then here comes the execution phase. In execution phase, see here the function is calling, right? So it starts executing, it starts calling the function with the argument Tony. So here name will be Tony. So for that, if we call the function, there is another local execution context will be created in a execution phase. Okay. If the after the memory phase, here comes the execution phase. In execution phase, if the any function will be called, then it will create a local execution context. Because here local variables, the variables which is in a function inside the function will get stored here, and all the code within a function will get executed here, right? So here it's a memory phase and it's a execution phase. Okay, let's call this as EC1, execution context 1. Okay, so in a code, I mean, in a this function, if there are any variables, it will stored in a memory. Here, it will call this function. Since we have a reference, right? It's call this function in a memory phase. We have a n variable which is undefined. Okay, which is undefined. Mm, undefined. Then there are no variables, there is a code to execute, so it will come here and it will search for name equal to Tony. If it is true, then n value will be Iron Man, or else n will be Captain America. Since it's a Tony, we are passing as the Tony, it's a I am Iron Man, right? So n value will be replaced with I am Iron Man. Okay, I'll write here I am Iron Man. Okay, then what's our code? A will be assigned with the return value. It will return n value. Okay. So n will be Iron Man. It will return the value. If it returns, this execution context will get deleted. Oh, this execution context whole value get deleted. Then A will be what? It's a Iron Man. I am Iron Man. That's it. So if we talk about this call stack means uh, if any context will get created, it will make an entry here in a call stack. Okay, that's it. It's like a log, we can say. See, this is a call stack. Here, initially GEC, global execution context will get created and it will make an entry in a call stack. Then we have a execution context one that is created. It's a temporary one. So after returning the value, this will be deleted. This EC1 will be deleted. That's it. Then at the end, the value will be printed in a console. That's it. This whole global execution context will get deleted after that. So this is how the global execution context works. Let's see another example. If there is a variable, let b equal to I have ng of it's a Steve, passing argument Steve. So what will be the output? I am Iron Man for A and I am Captain America for B, right? So for this, I'll quickly explain how GEC will how GEC will work. First, the function. reference. Okay, then A colon undefined, then B colon undefined. Here B colon undefined, B colon undefined. Okay, actually this will be undefined. Then here comes the execution phase. In execution phase, we are calling the first function Avenger with the argument Tony. So for that, as I explained, there is a global execution context, EC1 will get created, and there is a memory phase and there is an execution phase. And after that, the value of A, I mean, the value of A will be deleted and with assign, I mean, it will get replaced with I am Iron Man. Okay. So this is the EC1. So at this time, it will make an entry EC1, right? EC1, it will make an entry EC1. Then it will get deleted. Okay. Then our code have another variable and another function call. So this is a Avenger of Steve. Argument will be Steve. So for this, there is another execution context will get created. Let's say this is a EC. EC3. Okay, EC3, same. We have a memory phase and we have a execution phase. Memory phase and execution phase. N will get n colon undefined, and we'll call this function whole code. We call here in execution phase, and it will get executed, and it will come here. Actually, it will come here. The value will be false. Then it will come here. Name equal to Steve. Then n will assign with I am Captain America, and n will get returned. So at this point, EC3 have a entry here. Okay, in a call stack. Then after this value will be deleted and will replace it with I am Captain America. Okay. Yeah, this EC3 will get deleted at the time of returning statement. Then its entry in a call stack also get deleted. Then at the end of the statement, at the end of the code, all these GEC, everything will get deleted. Okay, that's it. That's about GEC, Global Execution Context. I hope you understand the concept. So yeah, another concept I want to tell about is eval. It's eval. Okay, actually JavaScript is an interpreted language. We can interpret at any point of time in a JavaScript execution. So we can do this by using the eval. We can interpret that. Then another advantage of or another use of eval is we can create a execution context. Okay, we can create our own execution context. As I explained here, we can create our own execution context using eval. Okay, yeah, that's about eval. So I explain the JavaScript definitions, ECMA standard, GEC, eval. In next video, I'll give some examples with respect to eval, and I'll be explaining the difference between var, let, and const. Okay. Then I'll explain some more concepts in our next video. Few data types of JavaScript, the exact difference between var, let, and const, and something about eval function. Okay. Let's start with 7 primitive data types of JavaScript. See, as I said, there are 7 primitive data types of JavaScript. Apart from that, everything is considered as a objects in JavaScript. Let's see what are those 7 primitive data types. Var, okay, I'll use let a equals to 10. Console.log of. We use a type of operator to print what is the data type of any variable. See, there is one data type called number, and if I use big int, if we append n to any number, then it is called as begin primitive data type. Or we can do like this also. Begin of any number 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's of type begin. Then there is a string. Then there is a primitive data type which is called a symbol, which is a immutable one. We can write that using a symbol function, and within quotes, let's say JK. So it is of type symbol. Okay. Another one is a Boolean one, true or false, right? So it's of type Boolean and false. It's of type Boolean. Then two more is null and undefined. See, I declared a variable let a. Okay. If I assign if I assign null, then it is of type. Okay. It is of type object, but its value will be null. Okay. But if I didn't write anything, like if I didn't write null, if I didn't initialize any value, then it will be undefined. So number begin string boolean symbol and null undefined. So these are 7 primitive data types of JavaScript. Okay, let's understand what is the exact difference between var, let, and constants, which are used for declaring the variables. See, before going to that, let's understand some topics. If I assign var a is equal to 10, see, if I write this, it's a declaration, okay? Then it's a initialization. Then if I write again, var a, I'm using same variable name equal to 20, it's a redeclaration, okay? But if I didn't write this var, just I use a equal to 20, it's a updation. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, let's start with a var. Var, let's use India equal to, what's the population? 142 crore, right? Some 142.8. Okay. So var can be declared and initialized, and I'm using same variable name 150. See, var can be redeclared. There is no any error, like I'll print value. There is no error. So var can be redeclared. Okay. Then var can be updated. Var can be updated. And var is a globally scoped. I'll explain later. Var is a globally scoped. So this is about var. And let's say about let. Okay. Let a equal to 10. Okay. I'll print that first. And var can't be redeclared. See, the symbol A has already been declared. So let cannot be redeclared. But these can be updated. Okay. And these are locally scoped. Okay. These are locally scoped. The variables which declared using let are locally scoped. And let's see one example using constant. It says like constant, right? If we use this to declare any variable, we can reuse that variable in any entire program, okay? But we can't update that. See, it can be declared and initialized, okay? But if we try to redeclare, we can't, okay? And we can't update also because it's a constant, right? We can't update also. Okay, let's understand what is locally scoped and globally scoped. Why it is var is called globally scoped and let is called locally scoped. I'll give an example. Let's write one function. Okay. We have a var a equal to 10. Okay. And within that, I'll write like if true. Okay. If true, console.log of within this if loop, I'll create one more variable var b equal to 20. Okay. I'll write a plus b. Okay. If I call this function, the value will be 30, obvious, right? 10 plus 20 here 30. But this value, I mean, this variable b, it's a globally scoped, which means outside of this if loop also we can use a plus b. See, there is no error. Actually, if it is a locally scoped, this after this loop exit, this value or the variable b should be destroyed. Since var is a globally scope, we can print that. See, if I write let, okay, here, if I use let, see there is an error. Okay, I'll comment this out. This console is printing, okay, 30. But if I print this, error is coming. B is not defined. Since let is a locally scoped, after this loop, the value or the variable b gets destroyed. It's a locally scoped. Okay. Okay, that's about globally and locally scoped. Then our next topic is eval function, right? As I said, eval function. Eval is used for interpret the JavaScript language, and we can also use it for creating our global execution context. Okay. Those who don't know the execution context, like it is like how JavaScript executes, how every line will get execute, how every function gets called. Okay. Actually, I explained in our previous video. There, okay. I'll give some examples using eval. See, console.log of eval of 2 plus 2. It's a 4. Okay. Actually, the parameters for eval function should be string. Okay. It is recommended to not to use this type of eval functions because hackers may have a chance to like change your code. Okay. So there are like more tendency for that. So it is recommended to avoid that. Then I'll show you one thing by creating a string object. Okay. In a console, I'll explain by creating one new object, a string object, string of, I'll write same thing, 2 plus 2. Let's see what will be the output. See, it's a 2 plus 2 only, it's a string. So that's about eval function. Okay, I'll be explaining control flow and error handling in JavaScript in this video. See, based on some conditions, we have to execute our code. For that, we are using some of the basic control flows. In a JavaScript, we have if, else, and we have a switch for that. There is one movie called Creep, okay? It's a horror movie. So, only people with age greater than 18 are allowed to watch the movie in theaters. So in every the entry of theater, they will check like what's your age using some of the government IDs, right? So based on that, you are allowed. Like if you are 18, you are allowed. Otherwise, you can't, right? So there also based on the conditions like age, there's occurring some process. Let's see using some code. I'm writing one function. We I'll taking one parameter called age, okay, to check if age is greater than or equal to 18. I'll print like you can watch, right? You can watch movie. Otherwise, he can't, right? He's not allowed. Yeah, maybe he can watch in their phones, but in theater he can't. You cannot watch. Okay. I'll call this function by passing some parameters. See, movie for the people with age 15. Okay. See, you can't watch the movie since it's less than 18. If it is 20, you can watch the movie. So based on that condition, we are executing some code. We are printing some statements. So that's about if else. Okay, let's see another example. This time I'm not using age. I'm taking one parameter name. For that, I'm using some DC character original names. See, if the name is this, I'm printing. Okay, it's a Superman. Okay. Okay, I'll remove all this. If name else, I'm checking another condition. What art? He's a Batman, right? Okay. I'm calling this function with name. Let's say call with Barry Allen. Okay. See, if I pass the name with the Barry Allen, it's printing like the Flash. Okay. If I pass with, let's say it's Bruce Wayne, he's saying Batman. See, based on this name condition, some statement is executing. This is how we can use if else if. And another one is the switch statement. I'm using this only for printing that switch statement. Let's say, okay, I'm commenting out. Okay. We have to use this switch keyword. Okay. Switch, we have a condition, name. Hmm? In that case, if it is a, see, this one. Name equal to Mary Ellen. Okay, I'll remove this. See, if name is this, it's printing this statement. Ignore some warnings. If the name is this, it's printing this. See, I'll change the name with this. It's printing like it's soup. Okay, okay. We have to give like the flash, I guess, right? The flash. Okay. See, I used cal l name, but it's printing both the statements since we didn't use the break statement. Okay, we didn't use the break statement here. We have to use break, like if one condition executes to true, it will execute that whole statements, I mean respective statements, and it will get it will come out of switch. Okay, see, the name is this, it's printing like Superman. If the name is Barry Allen, it's printing like the Flash. So this is how we can use control flows in a JavaScript. Then we are moving to error handling. Like, see, we have like 1,000 lines of code. Okay, if at one particular line, at let's say we have thousands line, at 500th line, some error occurs. Okay, unknown error occurs. The whole code, the whole execution will get stopped at 500th line. But it shouldn't happen. The whole 100 line, I mean the 1,000 line should get executed. If the error occurs, if it is a like it's a small error, we have to print that in a log rather than stopping the whole code, rather than stopping the whole statements. So for that, we are using some try and catch method. Okay, and let's see how we can handle the error using try and catch. Try this, otherwise catch. Normal statements, normal execution statements we have to write here. Try this. See, if we have a let a equal to 20. Okay, we check that if a equal to 20, do something like console dot log of no error. Okay, else else by using throw statement we are throwing error. Let's say a is not 20. Okay, we are catching here, we are catching here. Okay, then we are printing that, we are printing that err. See, since a it's 20, it gets executed. It won't execute, this else statement won't execute. That's why it's like no error. If a is 50, it comes here, it executes to false, then else statement gets executed and it will throw one string. A is not 20. We are catching that here and we are printing here. Just simple example. Okay, if there is some code, okay, that we are not sure about, like it will pakka for sure it will get executed, at that time we have to use try. We are trying that statement. If something problems occurs, we are catching that. Other than stopping whole code, we are catching here the exception and we are handling that. Okay, that's how we can use try and catch in our JavaScript. In next video, I'm going to explain some of the iterations that will repetitively use, like for in, for, of, and all, while, do while. Okay, I'll be explaining in the next video. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, okay, and let me know your thoughts. Let's say you have some objects or something you want to iterate about and do some operations. For that, we have for, within for we have two types, and while, do while in JavaScript. And let's see how to comment out on JavaScript, and what is ternary operator, and what is $0 parameter in JavaScript. Okay, I'll be explaining that. Let's get some knowledge. Let's say we have one array. Okay, I'll just print that. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I want to get one element at each time, I'm using for loop. That's it. First, initialization, like in for, we have to pass three parameters. First, initialization and condition and increment or decrement. In initialization, let's say I'll take like let I equal to 0, I less than, have to take this array length, right? For that, I'm using a dot length then I plus plus, and I am printing console.log of a of I. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that, we can iterate the array using for loop. And there are two types, right? In for loop, we have for off loop and for in loop. Okay. For off loop and for in loop. See, we can use this double forward slash for commenting out for for single line, or else we can use slash star star slash for commenting like more number of lines. I'm using for off loop for e of a. Okay, I'm printing that of I. For that, I'll give different parameters like 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. See here, if I use the of, I'm getting like 10, 20, 30, 40, which is the elements of array. But observe, if I use in, I'm getting 0, 1, 2, 3. So for in loop provides indexes. Okay. And for off loop provides elements in a array. It's not restricted to array. We can use map, which can be iterable. And this is about for thing. And let's see how we can use while and do while. While one condition's true, we are executing some operations. Until that condition gets false, we are executing that operation. Let's say we have let I equal to 0 while I is less than let's say 5. Okay, we are doing some operations like console.log of let's say Tony. Okay, we have to increment it, right? See, first I will be 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will execute for 5 times. That's why we are getting 5 times the Tony. That's it. The two conditions executes to false. Until that, these statements get executed. If I use do while, I'm telling like do console.log of Tony I plus, I mean incrementing that I while some conditions I is less than 5. See the output. First we are printing and after that we are checking the condition whether it's true or false. We are using this to execute at least one time the statement. I'll if I equal to let's say 10. Okay, this condition executes to false, right? But if we use do console, I'm printing that console.log of I'm printing this let's say Tony only. See, even though I is not less than 5, the statement is executing. So for executing at least one time, we are using do while loop. That's about for while and do while. And in a switch statement, we can use break to break that loop, or we can use the continue to continue and start executing from starting. Let's see what is ternary operator. It's like if statement, if something is true, we are assigning some value to another variable. If that is false, we are assigning different value. Like we can say it's a if else statement. Let's take let a equal to 10. Okay, and I'm assigning some value to b. See, I'm checking condition here. If a is less than let's say 5. Okay, I'm using question mark. If a is less than 5, I'm assigning Tony to b, or else I'm assigning stock to b. I'll quickly print that. See, a is 10. A is not less than 5, right? So that's why this star gets assigned to b. If a is less than 50, if the statement executes to true, this Tony value gets assigned to b, or else the star value gets assigned to bits like if else statement. Okay, this is a ternary operator. Let's quickly see what is $0 parameter. I'm opening the inspect page. See, this is the HTML page, HTML code for this page. Okay, like for this page, this is the HTML code. If I click on any line, it will become, it is assigned to $0 parameter. Okay. And what is the use of this? Let's see in console, if I write $0, I'm getting this. See, this is the thing, code, this whole code I get in console using $0 parameter. We can use like document dot get element by id or get element by tag name to get some elements. Okay, but instead of that, let's say I want this. Okay, I want this, I want to get this, and I want to use for other purpose. Instead of writing like document dot get element by id or get element by tag name, that link, just I'll place the cursor here and I can use $0 in console. This whole line will get printed. I mean, it will store in a $0. We can use in different for different purpose. See, I can get the link of that using href, the link. Yeah, that's about $0 parameter. I hope you like this video. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in a comment section. As of now, I introduced you with some flavors of JavaScript. Now let's get into the main course. That is JavaScript to make the pages dynamic. See, these are HTML page. Okay. If we run that, we'll get something. Let's say Tony. In a web view, it will be like this, right? So what if we want some tags from this HTML and we want to modify that? See, I'll open one page, IMDb. If we click on view page source, we came to know the whole HTML code, what they use, CSS or any Angular or React they used, like this. So we want some tags, like let's say we want this title, okay, and we want to modify that. So for that, there is some access methods, right? From JavaScript, there should be some access methods. In this video, we are going to learn that. Okay. In JavaScript, like when it is compiled, there is one window object will be created at the beginning itself, as I told. There is a window object gets created. After that, we have three different types of child under this window. Those are DOM, that is document object model, and BOM, browser object model. I think you didn't heard about this before. Then another one is just core concepts of Java. Okay. Actually, these are like child nodes. Okay. Let's see what are those, like what is DOM and BOM and core. Actually, this core is like ECMA script. There is no that much importance to access. Then I'll use this picture. See, within a window, there is document, and these are BOM, browser object model. See, actually, DOM means document object model. Whole document, whole HTML code will be represented as a tree where everything is considered as an object. Okay, I'll be explaining that later. Then these are location, navigation, screen, and history or browser object model. As name tells, it's a browser related information. Okay, using these objects, we can access the browser related information. Let's say we have a location object. Okay, we can get the location of what? Location of a window. Okay, or document, location of a document. Then navigation. Using this object, we can query the information of the browser. And screen, using this we can get some like screen information, like on which screen the window or the browser is operating, and the history stack, we can get those informations like browser history. So that's about BOM. And DOM, that's a document object model. I'll quickly show what is those DOM and BOM. See, if I document is an object, so I'm going to print that. See, in a document we have a whole code HTML, from HTML beginning to HTML end, so whole code will be there. Okay, and console dot, before that I'll show this window. Window is also an object, right? It's a like parent one. See, in window we have alert method, a to b, blur, so many methods are there. We can use this to make the pages dynamic. I'll explain this method in further videos. Then we have console dot log of. As I said, there is a location object, right? As a part of BOM. See, location, the href reference, and the origin of this tab. This is a new tab page, right? See, name, new tab. I inspected that page. So what is the origin? What is the link for that? Whole information will be in a location object, like browser information. Yeah, that's about DOM, BOM, and ECMAScript, or the core concepts of Java. Further, I'm going to explain in brief about the document one, because using that we are doing so much of operations in JavaScript rather than this BOM and all. Yeah, that's about this video. I'll be explaining document object model in detail in further videos. I'll be explaining the DOM concepts and how it can be used to access the elements of a web page. Let's get some knowledge. Okay, these are HTML code. And to write the JavaScript, we can use the script tag. Within that, we can write our JS code, or else we can write our code in a separate file and we can include here, okay, by using this src. Here, it's recommended to include our script file at the end of the body, because we make sure that before applying our script code, all elements of a web page are loaded. After that, we are applying our script code. Then let's see the DOM. It's a document object model. Every node is considered as an object here. See, before that, I'll tell one thing. There are three types of nodes: element node, and text node, and comment node. All nodes are considered as an object in a document object model. Here, this HTML, okay, these are root element, and this head and body are those children. And within head we can have this meta link, and we can have a title as a children of head, and within a body we have script as a child, and we can have a headers also. Okay, see, within a body we can have a headers, paragraphs as a children. These are element nodes. Okay, these are element nodes. But when we come here, like In a title, we gave ABCD. This is a text node. And within a header, we gave Tony. This is a text node, okay? And if we write any comments like this is a comment node, okay? This is how DOM structure look like: root element, head, body, children, and these head and body are siblings, okay? And title is a children and the text node and a comment node. And if we use any IDs or class names, these are called attribute. I'll explain that in further videos. Let's see how to access our elements. Let equal to, I'm using document, I'm using a dot operator. See, the whole body is stored in a we can use that and we can perform some actions to the body. See, there is one property called first child, okay? In a HTML page, this is a body, right? This body contains the commands, headers and script and all. But let's see what is the body's first child. It's a text node. Okay, I'll review here. The text node. You can ask like, the first element of the body is header, right? It should be element node. Why it's coming as a text node? Because after this body there is a space. This is considered as a text node. Okay. See, if I remove that space, see, it's a element node. But how we can get over from the spaces like this, right? To do that, there is a property called first element child, which is the element. Okay, we are getting h1 only, right? See, h1 tag. That's a first element child or first child property, and we can use last child also. As the name tells, it will give a last child of the body. It's a script, right? See, it's a script. That's about first child, last child, and we can have a list of nodes. Let equal to, I'll use document dot body only, and I'm printing that. Okay, and we have to include that source file, right? The JavaScript one. Okay, and we can use child nodes to get a list of child nodes the body has. Okay, I'll quickly refresh this. See, there is a node list. In that, first one will be a text node. That's a space. Okay, these are HTML code for your reference. These are space. Okay, then h1 space h1, and there is again a space. There is a text node, and there is a script tag. Okay, there is a script tag, and there is a space. There is a space. The length will be 5. So this way we can get the list of nodes the body has. And let's quickly check whether it's true or not, like we are getting all the nodes in our array or not. I'll check like a of 0 equal to document dot body dot first child. It's a true. See, a of 0, which means this child nodes in that first element or first node, it is equal to the document.body.firstChild. Yeah, this is about some of the properties of this body or any document object that we can use to access elements which are in a HTML or a web page. I'll be explaining some of the access methods by using some parameters like ID, class name, or tag name, something like that. Okay, let's get some knowledge. For that, I'm using some div tag. Okay, within that, I'm writing one header. Let's call it as Tony, and we have a paragraph. Okay. So if we reload our page, it will look like this. And let a, I'm taking variable, I'm storing the result of this like get elements by ID. What's our ID? We didn't give it. ID equal to Tony. So we are fetching the element from a document whose ID is Tony. Remember this, ID should be unique throughout the page, web page, throughout the document, ID should be unique. But class names, we can repeat that. Console.log of a. See that div tag whose ID is Tony is storing in a. Okay. If we give ID which doesn't exist, it will return null, right? Then we can access this using class name. Let's say we give this as CoDEVERSE. Okay. There is one method called get elements by class name. See here I'm using plural elements, okay, because class name can be repeated, but in case of ID get element singular plural element by ID. What's our class name? CodeVerse, right? Welcome get elements by class name. Okay, I'll refresh this HTML collection. See the div, within that we have a ID Tony. Okay, all the elements whose class name is CodeVerse. Okay, then one more method is we are querying based on our CSS selector. Okay, query selector. What's a selector? See, in CSS for IDs we are using hash, for class names we are using dot operator, right? Let's access this, which one, div, using this Tony ID. ID Tony. To use quotes. See the div element whose ID is Tony. Okay, and let's see what is query selector all. In HTML, right? Class name is Tony. Okay. Right, sorry. I'll use CodeVerse. Since I'm using class name, I use dot operator. It's a CodeVerse, right? Okay, let's see what is query selector all method. For that, I'm creating div with class name. I'll give This code was same as the previous one. Okay. Now I'm using query selector all with class name CoDEVERSE. So I'm getting a list of elements. I'll see here. So I'm getting a list of elements. The first one is a div which has a ID Tony. Okay. The second one is a another div. The length will be 2. So that's about query selector all, and we can use document dot get elements by class name. If we have a elements whose class name is same, okay, we can get those lists by using this also, like get elements by class name. Like our class name is CodeVerse, right? I'm assigning to some variable and I'm printing that. See, the length will be two elements. That query selector all and this will be similar, but in query selector all we can use our css selectors like id, class name, tag name, but here we are mentioning that it's a class name. That's why we are not using the dot operator also. And another one is using tag name. See, I'll write get elements by tag name div. In html we have two div elements, right? You are getting here in a console, you're getting two div elements. Let's say we want where is that? Yeah, here. H1. H1 tag will get printed. Why we are using this means we are getting that and we are applying our operations. Okay, this is about fetching the elements based on parameters like ID, class name, tag name, and all. In next video, I'm going to explain like what we can do by fetching these, how we can use this. Okay, let's meet there. See you. Bye. In previous videos, we have learned that how we can access the desired elements. In this video, let's see some of the examples like after accessing what we can do and what are the possible ways we can alter the elements. Then how do we create our own element in a JavaScript, and what is the use of alert method. Okay, without wasting time, let's get into the topic. Let's get some knowledge. These are HTML code, and yeah, I'll write one header, header 2, and I'll create one div element with paragraph like anything, and one header. And to access this, let's assign one ID to that, like Tony. And for this div, Stark. Okay, I'll create one variable to store the element. Get element by ID. Our ID is Tony. This is how we can access, right? Okay, I'll just print this. See, this is our header. I want to add some text. Okay, previously it has I am header, right? I'll change that. How? Let's see that. A dot, I'm using innerHTML property, changing using JS. Okay, see, these are header. Previously it was I'm header. Okay, I'm changing using innerHTML property of a node. Then we can add colors also. Let's see that. For this, let's use div. I'm accessing that. A dot. I'm using style dot color. Previously it was like yellow, right? Let's change to red. See, the div elements change it to red color. And we can change the background of that, like background color. So the whole background color change it to red. So this is how we can access the elements and we can change according to our requirements. See, if any person clicks on something, we can change background color to red to indicate the danger, right? So this is how we can make the page dynamic. Oh, that's about how we can alter some of the elements by accessing. Then let's see what is the create element instance method. Okay, see, in HTML we created one element using header tags, div tag, paragraph tag, like that, right? But in script, how we can create that element? First we have to create one variable to store the element, and we'll use document dot. There is an instance method called createElement. CreateElement, okay. Within that, we have to give the tag of the element we have to create. Like if our desired element to be paragraph, we have to give like p or div, anything. For example, let's take div, and I'll quickly print that. See, the div tag, the div element gets created by JavaScript code. We can add some code also, like div dot innerHTML. Okay, for div we can't add. If it is a paragraph, we can add. Let's change the color. Sorry, we have to take a, right? A dot style dot color red. I created this. Okay, we can add innerHTML also, like text also. Created using JS. I'm printing in console, right? Let's refresh this and let's inspect whether it's reflecting here. Yes, see, the div element gets created and the text created using JavaScript. Okay, we can add this to our HTML, to our web page also. Using some instance method we can add that. I'll explain later. Yeah, that's about this create element instance method. Okay, let's talk about one more thing called alert that we can use to pop up some message. Like, see, these are page, right? If anyone clicks on some button, the pop-up should come. Okay, let's not complicate this. I'll just print alert a. See, if I refresh this page, there is a alert box is coming with the text I gave, that is a. Okay, yeah, that's about alert method. We can use, like, let's say, okay, I'll first remove this. There is a button called click me. I'll quickly get that button, like document dot get element by tag name, that is a button. Yeah, we can in a console it is printing HTML collection. There is a button. If we get a of 0, actual element we are getting, since it will give like array, okay, elements, right? So it will give like array or a list. I'm getting the first element, that is button. Okay, on click, like it's a, right? A dot, I'm using some event handler a. Okay, a of 0, right? The first one. Add event listener. If I click on that, like click event, if I click on that, do alert. Okay, alert you clicked. This is our code. Let's see. So this is a button, okay? If I click on that, alert message, some pop-up message will come. See, you click. That's the use of alert method. How it's going? I'll be explaining some of the instance properties in this video. Let's get some knowledge. Okay, we queried some of the elements in our JavaScript, right? So after querying, every element or every instance have some properties, like it has name, values, or the URL and all, right? So let's see what are those and how we can use them, how we can fetch them. First one will be baseURI. It's actually a URI, Uniform Resource Identifier, for identifying any images or SVG images we have in our HTML. I'll take one div element. It has some ID. Okay. I'll be querying that. Document dot query selector. See, if I use base URI, I'll get one URI of that node in a document, okay? In simple words, if I want to tell, we have a document. We have a HTML document. In that, we have one div element. If we query like a.baseURI, the document which contains this node, right, will get that link of the document. Usually by default, this value will be same as Windows location. Okay, there is a browser object model location, right? So that value will be equal to this a.baseURI. That will be a default one. But if you want to change that, we can add one tag called base. In that we can give reference like whatever we can, like JK CoDEVERSE. Okay, now if we query this like a.baseURI, see, we get this HTTPS JK CodeVerse that we gave in a base. This is about without base and with base. Okay, usually there is a document, for that it has a relative reference. Okay, if that document requires absolute reference, absolute URI, we can use this base URI to give a absolute URI. Absolute URI means from the root to the particular element's address, the whole path will be absolute URI. Okay, that's about base URI. And another one is, there is an instance property called isConnected. See, we have one element, we have one paragraph. Okay, we have to check whether that paragraph will be within HTML or not, okay. That's I'm going to check using isConnected property. Let's create one our own element. Okay, document dot create element instance method we can use to create our element that I explained in my videos. Create element, let's say we created one paragraph element. Okay, I'll check like console.log of whether that a, okay, I created this element that is stored in a. I'll check whether this connected, okay, whether this connected to a HTML. See, it is showing like false because it's not present in HTML, right? But let me see by connecting. How we can connect? I'll simply use append child. I'm just appending this child to a document. There is a body. I'll append to that. Okay, in document, within a body, I'm appending this a and checking whether it is connected. Obviously it should be true, right? So the isConnected instance property will return true if it is connected, or else false. That's it. And let's see, two more instance properties, previous sibling and next sibling. Okay, see, we have a div element. Okay, I'll remove this base. We have div element and we have a paragraph. Let's say this is the first paragraph and there is a div element, and I'll add one more paragraph. Let's say this is the last paragraph. Okay, see, within this body we have one paragraph, div, and another paragraph. These are called children of body, but this p, div, and p, these are siblings to each other, right? These are at the same level in a hierarchy of a tree, right? So these are siblings. Let's see how we can access that. I have to get this first element of a body. So for that, I'll use document.body.firstChild. First element child. Okay. I explained this difference between first child and first element child in my previous videos. Okay. If you are not sure about this, please check my organized playlist for JavaScript, which is specially for web development. I got the, okay, I'll just print and show you what is that. Yeah. Oh, it's showing error. Why? Document.body.firstElementChild. Document is not a function. Okay, I got this right. Document.body.firstElementChild. It's stored in a. I'm printing that this is a paragraph. I'll quickly show in a console. This is the first paragraph. Okay, so this one. For this, these div and these p are siblings, right? I'll access that. If I print a dot next sibling, okay, this will give a text because there is a space after this. There is a space after this paragraph. So to eliminate that, I'll use next element sibling. See, it will give a div. So it's a next sibling, right? If we don't have a next sibling, it will return a null value. That's it. See, a is a first element. Okay, a is a first element. Then the next sibling will be div. But I'll check the next sibling of that will be paragraph. That's it, right? See, if I reload this, you'll get more clarity. Like this is the last paragraph. So this is the use of next sibling. Let's see previous sibling. Obviously the name tells the previous sibling of our element. See, a don't have a previous sibling. That's why it will give a null. Okay, let's take the div. Okay, document dot get element by id. I'm taking this Tony, this div. Okay, a. If I save a dot previous element sibling, it will be paragraph. I'll reload this. See, this is my first paragraph. So this is how we can use the instance properties. See, there are more instance properties like this, but I'm explaining the most commonly used one. So that's about this video. I'll be explaining more properties, more instance methods in our next videos. If you guys really want to learn JavaScript for web development, I have a well organized playlist for that. Check out my description for the link. In this video, I'll be explaining some of the instance properties like node name, node type, and node value. Let's get some knowledge. Okay, we have three types of nodes, right? Element node, text node, and comment node. After querying that, it has some properties like node name, node type, and node value. Let's see how we can access that. See, we have a div, okay, with id, let's say jk, and it has one header, Tony. In JavaScript, let's use document.getElement by id method. Our id is jk, right? These are element which is stored in a. Let's see what is node name instance property will print. The node name of the node, div. See here, it's a div, right? So node name instance property will store the name, like whether it's a div, whether it's h1, whether it's a p, like that. And if you observe, okay, we have a svg, and let's we have a svg closing tag. Okay, can we give id? Okay, xml. Okay, I'll print that separately to know the difference. Okay. See, if you observe carefully, div, h1p, these are HTML related, right? But this svg is a XML related tag. So if I use node name to print the name of the node, the uppercase belongs to HTML elements. XML elements will be printed in a lower case. That's the difference between HTML elements and XML elements while we use a node name. And another one is a node type instance property. It will tell like which type of node it is, whether it's a element node, document node, or a comment node. Let's see how we can use that. Node type. See, it's printing like 1. Okay, actually it is a boolean value. The return type will be a boolean value. For that we have to check node dot, okay, element node. See, I'm checking whether a dot node type is equal to the element node. This div, this div is a element node, right? That's why it's printing true. I'll check like whether it's a comment node. I'll quickly see that. False, because it's not a comment node. Okay, I'll do different thing, like if I use get, oh sorry, get element by id. Okay, first child. See, this is a div. Okay, the first child is text node. In a div there is a spaces, right? So it belongs to the text node, so it will print like true for node.text node. If you guys really like this channel, please subscribe, and if you want to learn JavaScript for web development, there is a well organized playlist for that. Kindly check my description for the link. And there is another instance property called node value. Okay, I'll quickly use that. Node value, it's a null because it doesn't contain anything. Okay, a dot node value is printing null, right? Okay, let's see how we can access this actual value. A as a text which has a child. Let's see, child nodes of 0. So the first child node of A, that is the text. Okay, I'm getting that value, that is FDFS. Okay, I'll put it in a meaningful way. Okay, node value. Okay, see ya, node value. That's it. So this is about node name, node text, and node value instance properties. Okay, I'll come with more interesting topics like this for you to learn JavaScript for web development. See you in the next video. Bye. Hi learners. In previous video, we learnt about node name, node value, and node type, right? And previous siblings and next siblings. So let's see an example where we can use all these, like we cover almost all instance properties in one example. Let's get some knowledge. I'll take one div element, okay, which has ID as usual Tony Raymond, and there is a one more header, like let's say it's a first header, and there is one more header, second header, and there is a paragraph, and there is a last div element. We don't need ID, last div, and this is a first div. Okay, these are elements, div element, h1, h1p, and div. Okay, I'll quickly take the first child of a body. I'll store it in a div variable, document.get, okay, document.body dot first element child. Okay, I'll print to let you know what it is. See, it's a div Tony, the first div. Okay, while okay, I'll take a different name. Let's say it's a yearly for better understanding. While yearly, okay, while yearly, I'll print. Okay, instead of printing, okay, I'll print only console.log of yearly dot node name. Okay, after that, I'll use yearly equal to yearly dot next sibling. Okay, let's see our output. In a console, it print like the div. First one will be div, right? See, the first one will be div, but why it's printing the text? Because it has a spaces after this div. It will consider it as text node. Then after that h1, then text nodes the space, then h1 the space, and the paragraph and the space, and the last div and the space, and there is a script tag. Okay, these are elements. Okay, like that we can use a previous sibling by accessing a last element child here. Okay, and we can print the values of the elements. Okay, what's our output? The first div. Okay, and it occurs error. Why? Okay, because okay, I'll tell after this. First element sibling. Okay, see ya. Our output is first div. Okay, and the first header, and there is a second header, and there is a paragraph, and there is a last div. Okay, according to our HTML page. After this, there is a script tag. I am printing the value of that script tag. See, I'm printing the old code that I wrote in our JavaScript. Previously it thrown error. Why? Because I used here next sibling, not the next element sibling, so that it will get a text node. Text node. As I said, there is a space, there is a text node. You don't have a value, right? That's why it's print like undefined. We can't read the properties of that. Okay. I think you like the example, and you will definitely learn all the instance properties by practicing this example. If you guys really like the video and if you guys really want to learn JavaScript for our web development, do subscribe to my channel and check the playlist for that in my description. Thank you. Hi learners. Do you want to know how we can add the element to the web page using JavaScript code? Okay, we have one instance method for that. I'll be explaining that in this video. Okay, without wasting time, let's get some knowledge. Okay, these are HTML. There is no elements to print, there is no text to print. Let's add some div element. Okay, we have ID. As we know, ID is Tony, and we have one header. Okay, JK CoDEVERSE. Okay, these are web page looks like. See the JK CoDEVERSE. I'm going to create one element in JavaScript and I'm going to add that to the web page using JavaScript. I'll take one element and I'm using createElement instance method. Okay, I'll create one header element. I'm going to add some InnerHTML to that, like created using JavaScript. Okay, I'll add some style. Okay, now I'm going to use one method called insertAdjacentElement. Okay, the name only tells like insert, we are inserting, okay, where adjacent to some elements. Okay, adjacent to some elements, and what we are inserting, the element. Okay, it has two parameters. First one is the position where we are going to add or insert, and what we are going to insert, the element. Now I'm going to take this div element. Okay, or let b equal to, or div equal to document dot get element by id. Our id is Tony. Okay, I'm going to add that element before this. Okay, before this I'm going to add that. If I inspect this existing page, see our code is this div element, script element, body. Okay, I'll add one header using insert adjacent element. The position is before begin. Okay, before this beginning, before begin, or we have to use that within the quotes. And what we are going to add, h1. Okay, that is stored in a, right? A. Okay, if we reload our page, see created using JavaScript, where it is stored before div. See this h1, we gave style and we gave text, that is stored before this div. Okay, and we can do after begin. Okay, after begin, I'll reload. See this is the beginning of div. After beginning of that div, this h1 gets added. Okay, and we have two more positions like before end and after end. Quickly we'll see that. Before end, okay, before this div ends, see this where the div ends, the h1 gets added. Okay, then after end, this div gets ended here. Okay, after this the h1 gets added. So this is how we can add our element using JavaScript code. That's about insert adjacent element. There is another instance method called insertAdjacentHTML, using which we can add our element to the HTML page, that I'm going to explain in a next video with example that will be a more interesting one. See you in the next video. Come. Now I'll be explaining insertAdjacentHTML, which is a instance method. Okay, and I'm going to give one example which is a interesting one. Now, before getting into that, I want to ask you one thing. If you guys really like my channel, the way I'm presenting, or the content I'm doing, please give a thumbs up and do subscribe. So it will keep me encouraging to do more contents like this. Okay, let's get some knowledge. I'm explaining insert adjacent HTML method. Okay, it is used to add our text to the web page using JavaScript. Before I explained insert adjacent element, that to add a element, this to add a text. Okay, it will take parameters like position where we want to add, and it's a text. It will pass this text as a HTML or a XML to the web page. Okay, to demonstrate this, I'll write one example. Okay, what I'm going to do is, there is a drop down, okay, where user chooses the position where you want to add some text, and there is a button. Okay, if he clicks on that, that will get added, some text will get added to the existing text. Okay, so for that I'll use select tag with id some options. Okay, and I'll display some options. Option, it's a before begin. Actually, there are four positions, right? As I explained in previous video, there is a before end and after begin, after end. Okay, these are my page look like. See, there is a drop down. Okay, before begin, before end, after begin, after end. And if someone clicks on insert HTML, I'm going to insert here. Okay, for that I'll take some code like welcome to my channel, and within that my channel name P. Okay, if someone clicks on insert HTML, based on the position, some text is going to add to the JK code verse. Okay, first I'm going to get the button whether it's clicked or not. Okay, if someone clicks on that, I'm going to add some text, right? So I'm getting the position, like which value it chose. Okay, and I'm going to add this text. For that, let options equal to, our id is options, right? See, options. Okay, then I'm going to take this text. Our id is P, right? Okay, our ID is P. For this text, I'm going to use insertAdjacentHTML instance method. I'm going to give a position. What's the position? That is stored in options, right? Options. What's the value you gave in a option? Then what text I'm going to add? I'm going to add like JK CoDEVERSE. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, it's working. See, welcome to my channel JK CoDEVERSE. Okay, my position is before begin. So before this JK CoDEVERSE, okay, I'll add a different thing to know the difference. Let's say it's a JavaScript. If I click on insert HTML, my position is before begin. See, before this JK CoDEVERSE, JavaScript gets stored. If I change the position before end, okay, then similar to after begin and after end, you can see the difference in a console also. Not in a console, it's in a elements. See the JavaScript. This is the code. Okay, I executed before begin and before this end. I'll execute after begin and after end. After begin, see, after this beginning of the paragraph, JavaScript gets stored, and after end, yes, see, after this paragraph gets ended, the JavaScript gets stored. So this is how we can use insert adjacent HTML instance method. And similarly, it's apply for insert adjacent element also. Rather than this text, we are going to give a element there. That's it. And to reset this, let's add one more button. Okay, button ID for resetting. Okay, reset button. If I click on reset, everything comes to the initial state. I'll get that like reset button here. Okay, I'm going to add event listener for that. Like if someone clicks on that, something should happen, right? This is a function. What should happen? Everything should erased. Everything should come as a initial state. Okay, for that what I do is I'll get a document, whole document, and I'm going to get some browser object model. There is a location, and I'm going to click on reload. Okay, let's see that. See, this is my initial stage. I'll click something. Okay, after this, if I click on reset, oh, it's not coming to the initial state. Why? Why? Okay, because it's a method. Now let's try. I'll just reload. Okay, if I click on reset, yeah, it's coming to the initial stage. Okay, that's about insert adjacent HTML. If you guys really like the video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.
Notes with text values. What if I tell you there is one instance method that you can use to add all these text values under one text node? Or you have one text node and text value, you can split the text values, and based on that you can do some operations. For that we have some instance methods. If you want to learn that, please bear with me. Let's get some knowledge. From now I'm using VS Code to explain a JavaScript for web development. Okay, this is a live server. See, if I write here, automatically it will save and it will reflect in this page. Okay, and these are JavaScript file. Let's create some text files, okay, text nodes, and we'll add some values to that, and we'll try to use one method to normalize that. Okay, I'm using createElement method to create my div, and I will create one text node and I will append to A as a child. Okay. For that I'm using document dot create text node with value, let's say it's a child one. Okay. And I'll create another text node and I will store in a as a child of A. I'll quickly print that to show how it looks. It will be in a console. I will inspect that. See, this is the element we created, div, and there is a child 1, child 2. These are text nodes. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I will first print node names and node values and let you know how it will look if there are more text nodes and node values. For that I will use one node, let node equal to a dot first child. First child will be stored in a node, and to store the result I will use a result variable, like let's say it's a before normalize method. Okay, I'm using normalize method for this. While node, I will just loop like node is equal to node dot or next sibling. I'll use this to move forward. I'll append some node values with node name like dollar. We have node, right? And node name or node name with what is that? Node value. Okay, this is my result. I'll quickly print that. Okay, let me retry by refreshing. Inspect, this is my code. Yeah, now it's working. Okay, I'll quickly add this. See, before normalize, there is one node name, that is text node, and the value will be child 1 and child 2 that we added. Okay, now what I will do is I'll just normalize. I will use normalize method. Okay, let's see what will be the output. After this, I'll quickly copy paste the same thing. Okay, same, the first child, and now let's say it's our node 1. Okay, and result 1, then node 1, okay. Now I will print the result and result 1. Let's see what is the output. This is my code. See, before normalize, it's a text child 1 and child 2. Then after normalize, there is only one text node, and all the values like child 1 and child 2 will be stored under one text node. This is normalize instance method. Okay, now let's see, we have one text node and text value. How we can split that? There is one instance method called splitText to do so. We have one header with ID, let's say it's a well and text will be welcome, and let equal to document dot get element by ID. Our ID is well, right? And let's say we have a variable b where to get a value of a we are using a dot first child. Okay, and to split that we use split text some parameter. I'll quickly print that and I'll explain. Console.b. Okay, see, there is a split text instance method. It will take a parameter called as offset value. What is meant by offset means, see, there is a welcome. Okay, it's a 7 letters, right? If I use offset as 2, it will start splitting from 2 to ending. It's a 0, W is a 0, E is a 1, L is a 2. If I use split text of 2, it will come from L. See, I use a split text of 2. It's splitted from L to E. It's a use of welcome, I mean split text instance method. Where we can use this means we can implement, we can introduce some text between those things. Let's see an example for that. Let's say we have one u element. We create that create element which is of type u. Okay, I mean underlined one. U dot innerHTML will be underlined. Okay, it's an underlined one. We are introducing between W and Lcom. Okay, for that I'll split just 3 and I'll print that log of b. So this is my output like come. Okay,
Hi everyone, welcome to the JK CoDEVERSE. If you want to learn JavaScript for web development, there is a playlist for that. The link is in the description. Please check out. And I'll be explaining some of the methods like getAttribute and setAttributes that will be useful while doing JavaScript, while using the JavaScript in web development. And for that, I'll just use a anchor tag. And I'll use IMDb page and I'll quickly copy paste this IMDb link. This is a URL, right? If I click this, I can navigate to the IMDb web page. Okay, I'll just inspect this. See, if you observe, this href is a attribute. This is the attribute value. Okay, what I'll do is I'll quickly take that document dot get elements by tag name. My tag name is A, right? I'll quickly print this HTML collection. Okay, what I do is I'll get the attribute. Oh, it's a list, right? So what if I use query selector? What if I use a query selector? It will give a exact element. Okay, previously it will give a list, right? We can get by using a 0 index, but I use a query selector. and I'll use getAttribute. GetAttribute method. Okay, I have to specify which attribute I want. Previously I told like href is attribute. See the value of href, this one, this is IMDb link, is coming as a output. So this is the use of getAttribute. I'll mention some attribute name and I'll get a value of that. What if I want to set the attribute values? For that there is a method called setAttribute. For that there are two parameters. The first one is the attribute name you want to change, that is href, and the value. Value, let's say another website. I'll quickly use which one? This one. Google page. I'll use this. The value is google.com. Okay, the return value is undefined, but if I click this IMDb, I'll navigate to the Google page. See, because I set this value. See, if I close this console, see, this is a Google page. So this is how we can use a getAttribute and setAttribute method. Thank you. Bye. Hi everyone, welcome. I hope you are here to learn the difference between InnerHTML and text content. Okay, I'll quickly write one header file and write JK CoDEVERSE. This is my YouTube channel name, and see is a JK CoDEVERSE, and if I inspect this, I'll do like document dot get element by ID. What's our ID? We didn't give, right? I'll quickly give the ID. ID is let's say JK. Our ID is JK. See, it's a whole tag. What if I do like dot inner HTML? It's a JK CoDEVERSE. Okay, but to know the difference, okay, I'll quickly print the text content also. It's a JK CoDEVERSE, but I'll do some changes here. Like, let's say it's a strong. Within this, I'll use a JK CoDEVERSE. Okay, see how my output is like this. Okay, to know the difference, I'll use oh no, not required. If I use InnerHTML, it's a strong JK CoDEVERSE strong, but if I use a text content, it's a JK CoDEVERSE. It's only a text within a tags, but if I use InnerHTML, the whole tag within a h1 will get stored. Okay, and see, if I want to change to italic, like I'll use one em tag, it will change the text to italic. Let's add some welcome and em. If I do this, see, this will print, but if I use InnerHTML in the place of text content, this will print welcome. This is the difference between InnerHTML and text content. Simply InnerHTML, the HTML means everything, right? Text, the tags, everything within the h1 here, everything within the h1 will get stored, or we can change. But if I use the text content, this will get stored. I have to use this and I have to modify that. But if I want to add a tags, it won't possible using the text content. That's the difference. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you. This video, I'm going to explain some of the things to keep in mind while changing the style using JavaScript code. Okay, let's get some knowledge. For that, I'll just use one header. Let's say there is a welcome. Okay, and for that, there is one ID called well. And here, I'll try to access that like document dot get element by ID. What's our ID? It's a well. And if I try to change the color of that to, let's say, red, see, the color changed. Okay, but what if I want to change the size, font size? In CSS, as we know, we'll use font-size to change the font size. Let's say it's 100 pixels. If I press enter, see, there is an error because while changing the style using JavaScript, we shouldn't use this font size. I mean to say, it should be used in a camel case. Camel case means the first word starts with a lowercase, and after that, every word starts with a uppercase. I'll use like font capital S and size. If I press enter, see the size of this welcome changes. So JavaScript follows the camel casing. And there is a page I'll tell you, like go to the W3 schools website, and there is a styles. They will tell all the properties how we should use in JavaScript, like align content, see, camel casing. Let's say how we can change the background color. We can't use background iPhone color, right? For that, I'll just use Control F and I'll use background. See, there is a background color. For that, I have to use this background capital C. Come here. What it is? Background color. I'll change to yellow. See, the background is changed. In this way, we have to use the camel casing to change the styles of a HTML elements in JavaScript via JavaScript. Okay. And one more thing is, actually, JavaScript is meant for making the pages dynamic, and CSS is meant for changing the styles, right? Then why are we writing the code like changing the styles in a JavaScript? Why can't we write in a CSS and use here? There is a method, there is a process to use that also. See, if I added this in a head, in a body, there is a h1, right? See, the style, color, red, font size are all added. I'll remove all this. Now, let's say I have to add a color to this welcome through JavaScript and via using some CSS. How we can do that? Let's see. There is a document.getElement by ID. I'll just print class list. It will give a list of classes this welcome holds. Let's say there is a class well. Okay. If I refresh this and if I execute, okay, cannot read properties of null. Okay. Let's use query selector, document dot query selector. Our class is well. Okay. And if I print class list, it's printing the class list. So to get this, we have to use a query selector. Okay. Because if I get this, I'll get an element, but if I get this, I'll get whole list, like what is the class name, what is style properties and all. So for this, I used a query selector. See, there is a class well. Okay, let's see with example. For that, I'll just use class. Okay, class name is well and the text will be welcome. If I refresh this, see, there is a welcome. I'll just inspect this. If you observe, the h1 has a class well. Okay, what I do is I'll just simply use a $0 operator, but I'll write document dot query selector. Query selector, our selector will be the class, right? So we have to use a dot and wel. If I use class list property, I'll get a list of classes this element holds. It will be wel, the length will be 1, right? It's perfect. But what if I add one class, like let's say back? Okay, add one class. The return type is undefined. See, the background color gets populated because in CSS I added a class with back and the background color is red. Okay, I'll show you one more example. Let's say we want to change our font. Okay, for that I'll just use one class. Let's say it's a font. Okay, what I do is font size is XX large. Observe, this is my font. In a console, I'll add one more class called font. Remember, whatever we pass like ID or class names, all should be within a quotes. Previously we changed our style and background color, right? Like using a camel casing. There also the value should be in a string. I added a font class. If we observe here, font is added. What if I change to like 100 pixels? Okay, 100 pixels. Now it's like this. Everything. Why it's not giving? Okay, let's see. The background is some blue. See, the font size is not reflecting because we can't. There's some 100 pixels. We can't differentiate. But the color is applying. See, we can add some visibilities also, like let's say there is a VISI, visibility is hidden. Okay, if we add this class, that should be, I'll just eliminate all the classes. See, there is no class, like only the well, the default is there. And what I do is document.querySelector.well, I'll add one class which is a VISI. Okay, see, it's hidden. So I have a method called remove also. I'll just remove this. See, it's reappeared because the class gets removed. And there is a method called toggle, which means if this element has a VISI class, it will remove. If it don't have a class, it will add. See, as of now, it don't have a VISI, right? Like the class, it will add. If I again run this, it has a VISI. See, it has a VISI. It will remove. Like that, we can add a styling through CSS only by doing some changes in a JavaScript code. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and please encourage me to do more content like this. See you. Bye. Hi everyone, how it's going? I think if you practice the JavaScript by typing, definitely you'll have some grip in JavaScript for web development. In this video, I'll be explaining the concept event target and how we can create our own events. Without wasting time, let's get some knowledge. So to understand the event target, I'll give an example. Imagine there is a football ground, okay? And there are players and there is a football outside this ground. If, simple, if the game should begin, this football has to be inside this ground, right? So, if this football has to be inside this ground, we have to add this. We have to add this inside this ground. Then football, the game can begin. It is similar to the event target concept. Imagine this court, this football ground as event target. It's like an interface. It's like a where objects can interact with the events and it can store the handlers. Events means let's say it's a click event, mouse over. Like if I want to, let's say there is a button, okay? If I want to click on that, there is a click event. If I just over that, if I place the cursor over, that's a mouse over or mouse up, right? So these are called events. And there are some handlers, like if something occurs, if some events occurs, there has to be some actions has to be occur, right? That's a handlers. Okay. So imagine this is a ground is a event target and this football is a events or custom events. Okay. If we have to use these custom events, if we have to use these custom events inside this event target, then this custom events has to be inside this ground, right? So for that there is a method called dispatch event. Okay, dispatch event method, using which we can include our custom events within an event target. That's it. Example of events are click, mouse over, like that. Example for event target may be, the target may be document and its children's, okay, documents and its children, or it may be a window, or it may be a elements. Okay, these are called event target. It's like a container which contains all the events, so that if we want to apply any event on the element, we can use that, we can fetch that, like by using some instance methods like add event listener, remove event listener, that we'll discuss later. So this is how the event target concept. Event target is like a container which contains all the events and handlers. It's an object interface. Okay. So let's see one example how we can create our own events. Hi everyone, I hope everything is good. And if you followed my playlist, which is a JavaScript for web development, I think you're good enough to make the pages dynamic using JavaScript. So I'll wrap this session, that is JavaScript for web development, by taking one famous example, that is Drumkit, where we can cover almost all topics of JavaScript. Without wasting time, let's get some knowledge. Okay, this is a initial HTML page and JavaScript and some styling. Okay, you can download this by following a link which is in our description. Okay, let's see how it looks. I wrote simple HTML and CSS code. See, there is a header, Drumkit, and some letters. Okay, if I click on this, like W, A, S, D, J, K, L, nothing is happening. So what I'm going to do is, if I press this W using some mouse, or if I press W in a keyboard, some sound should come. Okay, some sound or some song should play. Okay, that we are going to do here. For that, I imported some sounds. You can find this in our resource section, which is in a description. These are some sounds I'm going to use, and these are some images you can use to change the background of every letter or every box. Okay, let's get started. Now what I'm going to do is, I'll get this button. If I click on that, something should pop up. So for that, I'll write code like document dot query selector. If it is a class name drum, see, for all these buttons the class name is drum. Instead of this, I can use a button like the tag name button, get that. But what if I'll have another button here? So we are ensuring that only these buttons are clicked. We should place some sound. So the document query selector dot drum, if I'll add an event listener. If I click that, some function I'm writing, let's say some alert message I'm printing, like clicked. Okay, let's run this. See, clicked. And if I'll refresh. Okay, I just use a query selector, right? Only the first element. If I use a query selector all, so I should have a for loop. Like there are 7 elements, so 7 times I am executing this. Like let's say I have var I is equal to 0, I less than the length of a elements. Like our elements is 7, means button. So 7 times I am looping. For that, what I'm going to do is, I'll get this. Okay, I'll store that here like dot length. So the length will be stored in a L. So for I is equal to 0, I less than L, I'll increment. So within this I'll write this document dot query selector all, but we should use index because it will return a list, right? We should use index like 0th element, I mean first element, second element, like that. So let's run this. Let's see it's working. So it's clicked. Yeah, it's clicked. See, whatever the element we clicked, it's showing some alert message. So our code is working. Like if we click, something is happening. That something should be sound. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do is, let's say if this button gets clicked, I'm getting this text. Based on that, I'm playing some sounds, like if it is W, crash, if it is a kick, bass, like that. For that there is a this reference, means whatever the elements gets clicked, that will store in a this. So in this, I'm getting that InnerHTML. Okay, and I'm storing in a, let's say it's a text, right? I'm storing in a text. Okay, I'm passing this text to any function, like let's say make some sound. Okay, make some sound, txt. Okay, before this, let's ensure that elements is coming, like console.log of txt. Okay, see, I'll open an inspect page. In a console, if I press this W, A, S, D, J, K, L, so everything is working perfectly. So I'll pass this text to some function. I'll write that function outside this for loop. Function name is make sound, and let's say it's a text only. For this within this function, I'm going to use a switch loop, because every time we can't use, like, if this is the case, do this, or else if. Rather than that, we have a switch. What I'm going to use, txt. My case will be if it is a W. Okay, if it is a W, I'm going to play some music, like let's say crash. For that, we have one constructor in a JavaScript. Let's say there is a audio. Okay, where audio equal to, I'm going to use a audio constructor. Within this, I'm going to pass a path, like within a sounds, it's a crash, right? Crash.mp3, and I'm going to play that. I'm just breaking that switch. Okay, this is how it works. Let's see for W. Can you hear? Yes. So I will do for every element like this. Like we have 7 elements, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, and we have 4, 5, 6, and one more. Control V and hey, what happened? This is the case. Okay, see, we have WASDJKL, WASDJK, and we have a L. Okay, so for variables also I'll use like it's a first one. Okay, it's a second one, it's a third one, and fourth, audio fifth, and sixth, and seventh. Okay, and sounds we have to change, right? See, this is a kick bass, kick hyphen bass, then snare, then if D is pressed, it's a tom 1, tom hyphen 1. These sounds you can find in a resource section in a description, tom 2 and tom 3, and last one is tom 4, tom hyphen 4. Okay, so it's making sound. See, let's run. Some sound is coming, right? See, it's working. Okay, as of now, what we did is, if we press any button using a mouse, some sound is coming. Okay, some audio is playing. But what if some key is pressed in a keyboard, like if W is pressed, or A, S, D, J, K, L, if that is pressed, the audio that is attached to that should play. So I'm going to write a code for that. See, this is a whole document, right? there's no need of placing any cursor. So if I press W, that audio should play. Whatever, like wherever the cursor is, if I press A, this audio should play. So for that, I'll use a document, whole document, and I'm going to use a listener instance method. And what's my event? It's a key press. See, it's a key press. And same, I'm going to write a function. Within this function, I'll just use this make sound dot text, the function, this function. But instead of txt, I should send like WA, like that, right? So for that, we have E or event, anything. I'm capturing that event in a function with the name E, and I'm going to use E dot key. It will store like W, like that. Okay, let's see whether it's working or not. Okay, when I press using a mouse, it's working. See, if I press using a mouse, this sound is coming. But I'm not placing a cursor there. If I press a W in a keyboard, that sound is coming. See, A, S, D, F. See, I'm pressing F, but sound is not coming because we wrote code for only these letters. If I press H, no sound. J, K, L. J, K, L. Our code is working. So this is how you can add a sound whenever, like for different events like click event or key press event, like that. Okay, this is about Drumkit, and we can add animations also. For that, let's quickly see some animation. I'll use animation effect. Animation, some function it's my user defined function, so it should be like ANIM. Okay, why it's coming like that? ANIM. Okay, I'll pass this text. I'm defining that function here, like let's say ANIM and our text. So if I press on this W, see, there is no effect, like we can't tell that this button is pressed. So I'm going to add an animation, like if we press that button, some animation should happen. So for that, what I'm going to do is, so this is the text, okay, but I'll add some CSS to that. So for that, what I'm going to do is, let's add one class and use in our CSS. So document dot, I'm querying that whatever the element is pressed in a text, it's a W, right? It's a InnerHTML, right? If I press W, it's only W, but the class name is, it's not only a W, we have to use dot plus W, right? Do you understand this? This text, usually if I want this, I should use query selector dot W or dot A, like that, right? Because it's a class name. So text contains W, but there is no dot. So I'm going to append that, and I'm going to get a class list of classes. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add one more class, which is a, let's say it's a shadow one. Okay, it's a shadow one. That's it. I'm going to add that. If I press W, I'm going to get that, and I'm going to add a shadow effect. Okay, for that, I'm going to add a shadow here. Let's say there is a shadow class. It's like adding a coloring or something using JavaScript and CSS, like adding a classes. So dot shadow, what I'm going to do is some box shadow some 0 3 pixels, some 4 pixels, let's say some 0 pixels, and the color is, let's say, blue or black, blue. Okay, it's a blue, and my opacity is 0.5. Okay, let's run this. If I press W, see, some blue color is appearing. Okay, let's change that color. Let's say red to differentiate, I mean, to let you know. See, I'll refresh this. If I press W, some color is happening. Okay, we can't. Opacity. Okay, I'll change my background color. I'll change my background color to some blue. Can we see the difference now? No. Box, shadow, and it's a 0 pixels, 4 pixels. Let's see, should we use a pixels here? No, right? No, not required. Okay, 4 pixels. You can observe, right? Red. Okay, let's use yellow only, because red and yellow are opposite. We can okay. Since I used the opacity 0.5, it's coming like that. Let's say it's 1 only. See, you can observe, right? See the W, the A, yes, some difference. If I press W, some shadow, some box shadow is adding. So, but see, if I press W and if I press A, the W, the shadow is not disappearing, because here we have to remove that. We have to remove. Okay, I'll use this. Control C, Control V. I'm going to remove that class. But when we have to remove, there is a set timeout function we can use, and function, within this function I'm going to remove that, and for 100 milliseconds it should be there, like the coloring should be there, 100 milliseconds. Okay, let's see now. I press W, see, okay, it's working. If I press yes, it will stay for like 100 milliseconds, the shadow, and it's disappearing. Now we can say use a key. Yeah, yes. If I press keys, it's not like the box shadow is not coming, because we didn't add an anime effect here. Okay, Control C, and now let's check. I'll use keys W. Oh, no, also it's not. Okay. We have to use E dot key, right? E dot key. Let's see now. W. See? Yeah, I'm using keys D, J, K, L. Okay, W, A, S, D, J, K, L, W, A, S, D, J. Yeah, this is about Drumkit, where we cover almost all topics of JavaScript. Okay, I'll wrap the JavaScript for web development course here. If you still didn't watch the playlist, like the JavaScript for web development course, please find the link in the description, and make sure that while going to the video, after watching the video, you should practice. Otherwise, it won't last for a long time. You'll just forget like after 2 to 3 days. So make sure you practice the code, whether you feel it's a easy one. Make sure you practice, so that you will understand every line, every word you'll understand. So this is about the JavaScript for web development. Next, I'm going to do Swagger, where we'll discuss about, okay, I'll explain later, like what I'm going to do. My next topic is Swagger. See you there. Bye. Thank you.